I'm Nick Smith in for Nicole Burley. It's Thursday, September 16th, and this is Rush Hour. Those top stories in just a moment, but first, here's what's going on right now. We have news reporters spread across the country. In Idaho, public health leaders are in a health scare. They're rationing health care because the hospitals are overcrowded with COVID-19 patients. They're calling it crisis standards of care. We're live to explain. In South Carolina, lawyer Alex Murdaugh turned himself in to police today after investigators say he hired a shooter to kill him so his son could get a $10 million life insurance payout. The judge's bond decision late this afternoon. But let's start with new video of Gabby Petito, the woman whose disappearance without a trace is gripping the nation. This is police body camera footage. It shows Petito arguing with her fiancé on the side of the road in Utah. News Nation's Brian Enton spent the day combing through this video and is live in Florida, where Gabby's fiancé still isn't talking.
Nick, we've been waiting for any movement at the boyfriend's house behind me, waiting to see if he will finally talk to police. That has not happened, even as this new body camera video comes out.
What's your guys' names?
Gabby.
Gabby, Brian? Okay. What's going on? How come you're crying?
I'm sorry, we've just been fighting this morning. Some personal issues.
An emotional Gabby Petito talking to officers in Moab, Utah, after the couple was pulled over back on August 12th when a witness reported they were fighting. This is about 2 weeks before she was last heard from.
It was, some days, I have really bad OCD, and I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean.
Tell me what's going on.
She just gets worked up sometimes, and I try and really distance myself from her, so I locked the car and I walked away from her.
Gabby's boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, says she hit him.
What was the reason behind the slapping and stuff? What was it you were attempting to accomplish by slapping?
I was trying to get him to stop telling me something.
In the end, police decided to separate the couple.
He's going to go to the hotel. I'm going to give you the keys to the van. All righty? So, here's that.
What happened after that is a mystery, and police in Northport, Florida say Brian Laundrie is still not talking to them about Gabby's disappearance.
2 people went on a trip, 1 person returned, and that person that returned isn't providing us any information.
This girl right here, this is what matters. That is it. I'm asking for help, everyone at home. I'm asking for help from the parents of Brian.
Right now, we know that Gabby's stepdad and other family members are in Wyoming searching for Gabby. As for the boyfriend, we're not sure exactly where he is. The police chief today said he knows where the boyfriend is, but he would not elaborate. Nick?
Brian, thank you so much. And to make sure you watch Banfield tonight at 10 Eastern, 9 Central, right here on News Nation. Gabby Petito's father is set to talk with Ashley about today's developments. Well, bond is set at $20,000 in the botched suicide attempt and insurance fraud case against prominent South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh. News Nation correspondent Janelle Fort is live in Hampton County, Carolina, with details. Janelle, Murdaugh is out of jail at this hour, right?
Yeah, Nick, we saw him leave just about an hour ago, and this afternoon a judge granted him a personal recognizance bond, took his passport, and is allowing him to return to rehab. Again, these charges stemming from an alleged insurance fraud scheme. Court documents show it involved Murdaugh trying to arrange his own death with the goal of having his surviving son, Buster, get a $10 million life insurance payout in return. Now, today's hearing lasted about 20 minutes. We learned quite a bit about the ploy during that time. Murdaugh's lawyer told the courtroom it was the once prominent attorney who alerted SLED to what was going on. He told the agency the truth about who shot him and why. And Murdaugh's lawyer says that his client's erratic behavior has a lot to do with the fact that he's still dealing with the still unsolved murder of his wife and son, Maggie and Paul, as well as what he says is a 20-year-long battle with opioid addiction.
We called them. They didn't know about Curtis Smith. We called them and gave them the entire story, his identity, his phone numbers, all of it. When I say we, he did. We put him on the phone from a detox.
Now, his lawyer also confirmed the connection between Murdaugh and Smith. Earlier, we reported that Murdaugh was Smith's attorney for a 2013 speeding case. Murdaugh's lawyer said today that relationship extended beyond that and that Smith was actually Murdaugh's drug dealer. Smith appeared in court as well this morning. He's facing a slew of charges, including assisted suicide and conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. And Nick, this comes just a day after South Carolina investigators announced they're launching a criminal investigation into yet another mysterious death involving the Murdaugh family. This time, a 2018 slip and fall death involving the family's longtime housekeeper.
Janelle, there have been so many twists and turns in all of this. I have to ask, though, the family was so popular in South Carolina. What is the mood in the community?
It's one of almost fear at this point. You know, we've been down here in South Carolina multiple times covering this story, and it's one of those things where people don't want to talk about this family. It seems that there's a bit of fear of going against this family, and you can't help but understand why they have that with so much mystery surrounding this case and others that have been linked to the Murdaugh family.
Yeah, Janelle, thank you so much. Well, restrictive fencing is back surrounding the nation's capital. This is in preparation of a far-right rally expected on Saturday. News Nation correspondent Allison Harris is live at the Capitol. Allison, this is something we thought we had moved beyond, but clearly there's a need for these security measures.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. The protective fencing, this 7-foot-tall fencing, is back up here at the Capitol, and we are learning tonight about warnings of threats for tomorrow ahead of Saturday's rally, and that 200 D.C. police officers have been hired to work overtime tomorrow out of concern for those threats. Now, as you mentioned, it's concerning to see this up again, but it's both disheartening and also comforting for people who are here in Washington. Disheartening because of the need, because of the threat of violence, but also comforting that Capitol Police perhaps won't be caught off guard this time. The Justice for J6 rally Saturday is in support of the more than 600 alleged insurrectionists who have been arrested since January 6th. The organizers say they're facing grave injustice. Former President Trump put out a statement this afternoon saying that they've been persecuted so unfairly. The Justice Department says 140 law enforcement officers were assaulted that day. There have been 5 police deaths related to January 6th. Now the conspiracy theorists who believe the presidential election was rigged are having their own belief in conspiracy theories turned against them. Fear that this is a setup from people like Roger Stone has set in. Now many Trump supporters say that they're not going to go to the rally. Just like January 6th, much of the talk ahead of the rally is happening on social media. Far-right Facebook groups and forums are steering Trump followers away from this event, saying that they believe they'll be entrapped by federal agents. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill say that they believe law enforcement will be much more prepared this time.
The impact continues. They're going to come Saturday again. They have their plans to come. Everybody will be ready, more ready for them. I'm so proud of our Capitol Police and other law enforcement who saved our lives.
I believe that they're well equipped to handle what may or may not occur.
Capitol Police say there has been concerning chatter online. Organizers have called for people who attend the rally to be respectful to law enforcement. Capitol Police have requested the D.C. National Guard to be on standby if support is needed. The Pentagon hasn't shared exactly what Capitol Police are asking for in terms of manpower, but the Pentagon said yesterday it is not exorbitant. But again, today, we're learning about warning of threats for tomorrow, Friday, ahead of Saturday's rally. Nick?
Allison, I can only imagine how tense things must be right now in the nation's capital. Allison, thank you so much. We're following several new developments tonight in the coronavirus pandemic. Tonight, a growing crisis in one state, Idaho. Hospitals now sounding the alarm as the state takes action. News Nation correspondent Marky Martin joins us live. And Marky, hospital capacity is now reaching critical levels that we haven't seen since winter, right?
Yeah, Nick, exactly, especially in the southern United States. But it's not just there. As you just mentioned, let's start in Idaho, where health care is now being rationed. It's almost odd to say that sentence out loud. But just this morning, the entire state of Idaho pivoting to what they call crisis standards of care, citing the massive amounts of COVID-19 patients that they now have across the state. But what does that mean exactly? Crisis standards of care, point blank, and frankly, it means that scarce resources like ICU beds, preferred methods of treatment, preferred equipment will now be allotted to those patients with the highest chances of survival. In fact, Idaho turning away hundreds of transfer patients because they just don't have the room, they don't have the staff. Now, in fact, Idaho is one of the least vaccinated against COVID-19 in the entire country, with only 40% of its population having that double dose. And get this, according to Johns Hopkins, in just the past week, about 1 in every 200 residents there has tested positive for the virus. Doctors and nurses coming forward saying not a single patient in ICU has been vaccinated against COVID-19. And now you have all these doctors and nurses coming forward with this dire message. Take a listen.
People have to either get better enough to go home, or if they succumb to their illnesses and die, that opens up a bed.
I get furious pretty fast because where we are right now, we didn't have to do this. And where we are right now is avoidable. We didn't have to go here.
Yeah, you can hear the emotion in her voice. And just for a look elsewhere, Nick, elective surgeries in states like Washington and Utah, they have been canceled. In Alabama, you have all ICU beds being occupied, and those staffing shortages now reaching critical levels that we haven't seen since winter, as you mentioned right off the top. In fact, a lot of those doctors and nurses in Alabama telling our local affiliates in the area it's as though we are under siege. Doctors in Nevada coming forward saying their hallways at the hospital are filling up with COVID-19 patients. And lastly, Nick, today in Texas, the second largest state in the country, there are only 326 available ICU beds for adults.
And Marky, you know, we seem to be hearing more and more healthcare professionals voice their frustration. But earlier today, Pfizer also made headlines when it came to booster shots. What's the latest with all that?
Yeah, so the CEO of Pfizer coming forward, penning this open letter, basically urging the FDA to approve booster shots. And he said based off their research, the amount of time that passes after somebody gets the double dose of the vaccine plays a significant role in a lot of these breakthrough cases that we're starting to see. He said his research team has found that after a third dose, patients, their immune systems responded really well. In fact, they said they found more neutralizing antibodies after a third dose with that booster than they even did after the 2-dose schedule. And lastly, Nick, that FDA meeting to talk about this very booster is set for 8:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning.
Marky, it looks like COVID is determined to stay in the headlines. Marky, thank you so much. Well, President Biden is notifying governors and state refugee coordinators on how many Afghan evacuees they will be resettling in their state. California is slated to take in more than 5,200 people, more than any other state. News Nation correspondent Michael Shore is in Los Angeles with more on the vetting process.
First, there were the airlifts from Afghanistan, a 2-week-long U.S.-led operation to evacuate tens of thousands of Afghans. And now there is the process of relocating those evacuees.
The Biden administration wants to provide them with the same benefits that refugees get. That includes access to public benefits, money, and individuals here in the United States who will help them to integrate to life in this country.
Andrew Arthur of the Center for Immigration Studies says that this type of humanitarian parole, as it is called, is unprecedented.
The Biden administration is using a very narrow authority in the immigration laws called parole to release those individuals into the United States. The next step in that process, again, is rather unknown.
What is known is that the administration has been working with state governors on resettlement plans, the first of which were presented Wednesday. California will be receiving just over 5,200, the largest number of Afghan evacuees from the first group of 37,000 to be resettled. Texas will get nearly 4,500, while states like Alabama and Mississippi are due to receive just 10 Afghan immigrants each, with states like West Virginia and Wyoming receiving none. As of now, the Afghans are mostly housed in military bases scattered throughout the country, from Fort Bliss in Texas, where the largest number are, to Fort McCoy in Wisconsin, where conditions are being criticized by Democratic Representatives Gwen Moore of Wisconsin and Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, as Congress maintains oversight authority over these bases. Another issue facing authorities is the vetting process for these Afghans, which has taken place abroad but has spurred concern.
Many of the people who had been airlifted out of Afghanistan had either minimal documents or, I think in certain cases, no documents at all to verify who they were.
The next step in the U.S. pullout from Afghanistan, integrating these new residents into the country, may in fact be the most uncertain. Michael Schur, News Nation.
Thousands lined the funeral procession for fallen Marine Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz in St. Louis today. Schmitz was among 13 military members killed last month when a suicide bomber attacked Kabul, Afghanistan airport. News Nation's Mike Colombo from KTVI is in St. Louis. How did the day go?
Well, Nick, it was an incredibly somber day, as you might imagine. Thousands of people lining roadways across the St. Louis area. You know, Marine Lance Corporal Schmitz is one of thousands who are now buried here at Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery. But before he was laid to rest here today, St. Louisans showed their support and paid their respects to the Marine and his family. It's about a 25-30-minute drive from the funeral home to the cemetery here. And all along the roadway, there were flags from various fire departments on overpasses. There were people who lined the highways and actually pulled over and allowed the motorcade to pass both directions of traffic, paying their respects. Closer to where we were stationed near the cemetery here, hundreds of people showed up to pay their respects. We spoke with so many different people who shared their thoughts with us about the sacrifice, the service, and the respect that they have for the sacrifice that this man and so many others have given to the American effort in Afghanistan and across the Middle East in the wars fought over the last 20 years. I spoke with a Marine today. He served from 1960 to 1971. And though more than 5 decades have passed since his service, there was so much emotion in the way that he talked about losing one of his brothers. And that's how he feels about Lance Corporal Schmitz. All those years later, still very much meaning for him. Reporting live in St. Louis, I'm Mike Colombo. Nick, back to you.
Mike, I can tell you that is definitely a somber experience, and we cannot thank the men and women who serve and their families enough. Well, meanwhile, on the southern border, American veterans who've been deported from the U.S. were welcomed back to the States for just a few minutes this week. These men were allowed back into the U.S. to receive a COVID-19 vaccine thanks to a multi-agency effort. And today, a federal judge ruled that the Biden administration can no longer use a COVID public health order to turn away adult migrants. The order, Title 42, allowed the federal government to expel migrants at the border to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. Still, there are signs of desperation for migrants trying to cross the border. This is a photo of 2 babies found along the Rio Grande just this week. The 2-year-old and the 3-month were found alone by Border Patrol agents. And while these children will be processed here, sending migrants back to their home countries isn't on the table anymore. Today, the governor of Texas ordered the Department of Public Safety to shut down 6 ports of entry. News Nation's Maggie Glenn of our Austin station KXAN joins us live. Maggie, before today, the governor wanted law enforcement to focus on arresting migrants for criminal activity, right?
Yeah, that's right. And that is still a goal of Operation Lone Star. And actually, just this morning, the Texas Department of Public Safety held their first of many weekly Operation Lone Star briefings. And they went over statistics related to criminal trespassing arrests. We heard from Lieutenant Chris Olivares, who said that DPS is now arresting 20 to 40 migrants a day for just criminal trespassing, which, you know, is exactly what the operation is intending to do. do. That's what the governor has directed these officials to do. However, it's causing lots of headaches and lots of delays for local criminal justice departments. So today I actually spoke with a Valverde County attorney who, again, Valverde is right along the border. It's near Del Rio, where we're seeing the most issues right now. And he said that just last month, his local jail was so overwhelmed with migrants that local police weren't able to arrest criminals in their own community unless it was a felony. That's how overcrowded their jails were. That problem has now been resolved, but he was critical of the governor for having such an overreaching demand to arrest just anyone pretty much for criminal trespassing. And so he has acknowledged, however, that the state is doing everything they can, given that the federal government really hasn't been present in responding to this crisis at our southern border. Just hours ago, the Biden administration actually reversed Governor Abbott's decision to close those 6 ports of entries. So that won't be happening as of right now. We're still waiting to hear back from Border Patrol to see the future of those ports possibly being shut down. But as of right now, they're still going to remain open.
Maggie, that is such a tough situation. Thank you. Well, taking a look at weather now, Tropical Storm Nicholas moving out of the Gulf Coast. Let's go directly to Gerard Jabali. Is the storm gone for good? Gerard, I have to say this. For some decades of the name Nicholas, this is the first time I remember a tropical storm with my name. Am I right, or is this not true?
Nicholas does get sort of a repeat in the names list, so
Okay.
You will probably see it again. This name is not going to be retired, so stick around and you'll see another one, I'm sure. Right now, Nicholas has been nothing more than really a rain producer. We've seen that happen all the way down since it was off the Mexican coast, and then it basically traced along into the Gulf Coast. So Houston, New Orleans really got a lot of rainfall over the last 5 days, and now we're starting to see it trending down. The wind is long gone. We're even seeing some of the rain shower and activity go down a bit, but it still looks like we will see the potential for flash flooding at least until Saturday evening. So Nicholas has lost its name. It's lost most of its strength. It's nothing more than just a remnant area of low pressure. We will see another couple of systems trying to develop out there already. So while Nicholas might be gone, Odette might be the very next one that gets formed. It could form here in this region off the Atlantic, and that's got a pretty good chance here over the next 2 to 5 days as we are watching this system off the Carolina coast, trying to get some energy off of the warm waters that come up from the Gulf Stream. And we may not see much out of this because it's going to stay offshore. Very good news for everyone, except maybe some fishermen way out to sea. The next one that we're going to have to watch is actually still coming off of Africa, still way far away, but this one has a better potential to possibly create some impacts across the United States as it's still tracking to the west. High chance of development here with this system. Again, another named storm that we could see as we're just churning through those names very quickly. One other one that has a low chance of development over the next couple of days.
Well, Gerard, I'm glad that the storm Nicholas is fading, but my mother enjoys the name Nicholas. Well, if you're thinking of buying a car, it might be time to pump the brakes. One analyst says they've seen pricing up as much as 50% over the last year. While vehicle prices leveled off this summer after that chip shortage, there's a new threat to car prices: hurricanes. News Nation's Tara Remen, our news station in Texas, explains. Tahara.
We have a saying around here that we're not a museum, so we don't have to collect a lot of cars.
That meant about 40 to 60 cars at a time on this lot at Killian Auto Sales in Round Rock. Now it fluctuates between 2 and 15 cars because of high demand and fewer cars coming into his used lot from dealers of new cars.
The Chevy store I go to every day, they usually have 0 to 3 cars, and they used to have 800 new cars there.
That's because production has dropped. In just the last couple weeks, Toyota, GM, and Ford have all said they're cutting back due to a prolonged chip shortage. That's also driven prices up. Now, supply chain expert Edward Anderson says there's added pressure. Hurricanes Ida and Nicholas. He says it'll be a similar hit as Hurricane Harvey.
When that happened, Hurricane Harvey, when it hit Houston, it drove up car prices nationwide by 3%.
This time, in the middle of an already tight market, he says that could be a 10 to 20% increase here in Austin. Back to you, Nick.
Thank you, Tahara. Well, Facebook is taking new steps to stop misinformation on its network. The group saying they're targeting and what they're calling them. All that's coming up next. In Alabama, 2 unusually large cats are missing, and Tiger King star Carol Baskins wants justice. Baskin's putting all the blame on their owner. We're live from Alabama next. Well, right now, 2 exotic cats are on the loose in Alabama, spurring calls for help from big cat rights activists, including Tiger King star Carole Baskin. She's calling on the federal government to get involved. The African severals escaped from an exotic pet store in Alabama last week. News Nation's Hunter Drinkert from our Huntsville station WHNT joins us live. And Hunter, what did Baskins tell you?
Well, Nick, Baskin says she believes these cats were never meant to be kept as pets in the first place, and that's why she's calling on people to file a complaint with the USDA. The owner of 256 Exotics in Huntsville reported the cats missing on Facebook last week. Wildlife officials tell me African servals are much larger than the average house cat, but smaller than cheetahs and other big cats, and they're perfectly legal to own here in Alabama. Baskin feels that should change.
Regulation that Alabama has is to say that if it can contract rabies, it has to be vaccinated for rabies with an approved rabies vaccine. Well, there is no approved rabies vaccine for any of the exotic cat species.
Baskin says she believes these cats belong in sanctuaries to stop the breeding of non-native cats in the U.S. And wildlife officials tell me while these cats don't pose a large risk to humans, they are capable of eating small mammals. And for that reason, people should take extra caution when letting their pets outside. Nick, back to you.
Hunter, I'm going to say that cat is pretty big. That serval still looks like it could be a threat to you and me. Hunter, thank you so much. Well, Facebook taking another crack at people spreading misinformation on this site. The new measures that the website will be enforcing, those are coming up. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nick Smith. In for Nicole Burley. This is Rush Hour. Here's what's happening right now in your nation. Police in Utah have released body cam footage which shows officers pulling over 22-year-old Gabby Petito and her boyfriend Brian Lundry back in mid-August. The hour-long video, recorded roughly a month before Petito's family reported her missing, it shows her in a state of distress, allegedly following a physical altercation with Lundry in the middle of their cross-country road trip. Petito last contacted her family 13 days later and hasn't been heard from since. Coming up tonight, Petito's father will join Banfield Live with reaction. Prominent South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh is behind bars after turning himself in to authorities. Murdaugh, who was at the center of a handful of investigations, is now accused of hiring a hitman to kill him so that his son could collect a $10 million life insurance payout. The man he hired to carry out the hit, a former client, has also been arrested. Meantime, authorities say they also have opened an investigation into the 2018 death of Murdaugh's former housekeeper. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin pleaded not guilty today to violating a teenager's civil rights. It's a separate case involving a restraint similar to the one Chauvin used on George Floyd, leading to his murder conviction. This case alleges he deprived a black teenager of his rights back in 2017. And nearly 1 out of every 4 children admitted to the hospital with COVID-19 requires ICU care. That's according to a new study from a group of pediatric doctors across the country. They say the most concerning part is that 70% of children who are hospitalized are under 12 years old and not eligible for the vaccine. Facebook once again cracking down on misinformation. They're shutting down what they call informal networks of accounts which all coordinate with one another to spread misinformation. William Antonelli from Business Insider joins me now. William, I'm trying to understand how all of this will work.
Sure. For better or worse, we really don't know what Facebook's exact moderation rules are. They've always been extremely secretive when it comes to figuring out what goes on the site, what gets taken off the site. And in all honesty, it's probably going to take nothing short of a full lawsuit for them to eventually give up those trade secrets.
William, this is one of those things I think so many people are confused about. We don't know what these networks do and what they don't do. How were they even aware that it was a problem?
We've seen this in a variety of ways throughout the past few years. We all know the stories of Russian troll farms, things that they often call, quote, coordinated inauthentic behavior coming from fake accounts. The real big news today is that Facebook is going to take the tools they developed to deal with those fake accounts and start using them against real people who they see as leading harassment campaigns. An example of this might be, say, you post a picture of your dog online and 100 people get together and report it for violent behavior. Something that is clearly false and clearly against Facebook's rules, but can happen, and due to Facebook's algorithms, you might get pinged for it even though you've done nothing wrong. These are the sort of things that have happened in the past, things that are still happening that Facebook is trying to fight with these new rules.
William, it seems like Facebook is always trying to play catch up with implementing punishment after maybe the foul has been committed.
Yes, I can agree with that. There have been calls on Facebook to improve their moderation team for years and years and years. And unfortunately, Facebook has often brushed off those complaints, saying, oh, we're doing the best we can with the resources we have. Whether or not that's correct, I can't say for myself. I don't have a look at Facebook's money resources or their human resources or their employees, but I can say there are other sites who are doing a much better job at moderation than Facebook is right now.
Well, you've been studying this for years. You understand how all of this works. Do you believe it's too late now? Is the horse already out of the barn, or is this something you do believe can be corralled?
The horse is out of the barn, but it can be lassoed by regulation. If the U.S. government or another entity is willing to step in and really make it clear that Facebook needs to clean up their act, or there are going to be consequences and actual consequences, not just some fines that Mark Zuckerberg can brush off. I think that's something that actually will encourage Facebook to establish new rules and establish new effective rules.
William, that's why we love you here at Rush Hour, because you keep it simple for us and you break it down. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Elijah McCain, his story sounded all too familiar, but it still shocked the country. Today, a civil rights investigation into his death is putting a new law to work. And President Biden says he's looking to level the playing field when it comes to this country's economy. The key to the president's $1 trillion spending plan. We're giving you both sides. We're taking a live look at the U.S. Capitol tonight, where debate over how to spend your tax dollars is in full swing right this moment. From the debt ceiling to infrastructure. At the White House today, President Biden defended his $1 trillion infrastructure plan. Critics say the plan costs too much, while the president argues it would help those who need it the most and boost the economy at the same time.
It's pretty simple. It's about time working people got the tax breaks to this country. That's what my plan does. And here's what it also does. By asking big corporations and the very wealthy to pay their fair share, it makes it possible to invest in America, to invest in the American people.
September 30th deadline to raise the debt ceiling is also stirring debate. Democratic lawmakers are in favor of the increase, but Republicans say the country owes too much. News Nation's Kelly Meyer reports Democrats might have to pass it on their own.
The pressure is on in Congress to increase the debt limit before the nation runs out of cash next month.
We must do this. We believe it's an imperative to do it.
Republicans refuse to join Democrats in the effort.
Republicans are united in opposition to raising the debt ceiling.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says Democrats can do it on their own.
They have the ability and the responsibility.
The standoff is quickly becoming a showdown between Senate leadership.
I'd like every single Republican senator to answer the question, are they willing to let the government default?
Democrats could work to include the debt limit increase into the government funding bill, but Republicans could still block that effort.
Playing a game of chicken with the debt ceiling. And that's not what you want from the people who are running your country.
Maya McGinnis, president of the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, says Congress waited too long to raise the debt limit, and failing to act now could have worldwide impact.
it would be economically devastating.
That would be disruptive, certainly. But will it have the catastrophic effects that a lot of people are speculating? And my guess is no.
James Wallner with the R Street Institute suggests the consequences might not be as dire, and it could teach lawmakers to restrict spending.
It can't borrow to make up the difference. So in essence, it would balance the budget overnight.
The House and Senate will likely pick up with the issue when lawmakers return next week.
Kelly Meyer, News Nation, Washington.
Well, social media's unpredictability will always have people on edge. How much do Americans trust the one thing that has people glued to their phone and computer? Sony Pictures still has no clue on who will host Jeopardy, but they do know who's going to stay on the show till the end of the year. And Barbie debuting 2 unique dolls to kick off Hispanic Heritage Month. They're calling them one-of-a-kind role model dolls, and they're both carrying a strong legacy. Well, topping your entertainment news, Jeopardy! The game show making a big announcement today about who we'll see on screen through the rest of the year. So the question is, who is hosting Jeopardy! The show has had some trouble in the search for a new host following the death of longtime presenter Alex Trebek. News Nation's Justin Roman joins me in studio. Justin, what did we learn today?
Hey, Nick. Well, now Sony Pictures Television has bought itself some time by announcing that Mayim Bialik and Ken Jennings, who are already both part of the Jeopardy family, will host the show through the end of the calendar year. The timing will give Sony at least a couple months to determine who the permanent host should be. Let's just hope they finally get this decision right, because it's been a mess. And you probably remember that executive producer who made himself the permanent host, Mike Richards, abruptly left both jobs in a cloud of controversy. What is the biggest hosting mess of all time for $1,000?
You know what? It seems like, though, a lot of people want that job because there was a long list of people who were filling in for a while.
Yeah, 1,000%. I said it before, I'll say it again. I'm just glad it's not Aaron Rodgers, because I don't want to see him on TV as a Bears fan every single day here in Chicago.
And my mother said she was one of her favorites. Anyway, a lot's been going on with Nicki Minaj. Vaccines, swollen testicles, Twitter jail, and now the White House is offering their services. What is all this about?
Oh, man, it is crazy right now. Nicki Minaj, she started a bunch of controversy earlier in the week when she said that her cousin's friend shared a story about her cousin's friend who claimed there was a bad reaction to the vaccine down below. People were going hard after her on social media, but Nicki Minaj's very devoted fan base clapped back equally as hard. Nicki went on to claim that she was in Twitter jail, but Twitter itself denied those claims, and you can actually see her Twitter account is still active. She also claims that she was invited to the White House to have a discussion, but the White House denies the invite and says she was only offered a phone call to discuss the vaccine safety and the effectiveness. I'm just going to end this segment by saying I love Nicki Minaj, mainly because I don't want her super passionate Barb's fan base to come after me, and Nick, I suggest you do the same.
Oh, what? I didn't hear anything. What? I don't know what you're talking about. Well, the drama isn't just on the screen. Grey's Anatomy fans will also be able to learn more about the cast and crew, because we clearly don't know enough, right?
Yeah, that's right. A new book is dishing on the biggest bombshells of the hit TV show. In How to Save a Life, the inside story of Grey's Anatomy, author Lynette Rice recounts the ABC medical drama's eventful 16-year history, revealing new details behind the show's biggest departures. Fans were shocked when Patrick Dempsey exited the show in season 11. But in this book, Rice reveals the HR issues contributed to the death of Dempsey's alter ego, McDreamy. Executive producer James D. Perriott said there were HR issues involved. It wasn't sexual in any way. He was sort of terrorizing the set. Some cast members had all sorts of PTSD with him, so it sounds like McDreamy got a little too McSteamy on the set, and that ultimately got him McFired. But I must add, ABC and Patrick Dempsey himself declined to comment on this new reveal.
Are you McDone, or is there
I never watched the show, actually, so I was McDone before it even started.
I love it. You know, and my mother loves that show also, and I can't tell you one character beyond the woman with the lips. I used to like her.
Well, I just told you about McDreamy, so there you go. You know two now.
Now I know two.
Yeah.
Justin, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nick.
Well, the Dollar Report starts at the top of the hour. Joe is in the studio. Joe, what are you working on? I have reason to believe it has nothing to do with Grey's Anatomy.
Or swollen testicles. At that point, it's like, I'm glad that Nick has settled right in here at News Nation. It's good to see you, my friend. Tonight on the Donlin Report, the president's approval rating is tanking. He now only tops Ford and Trump at this juncture of his presidency, and with potentially new taxes on deck and a controversial vaccine mandate, will things get worse for the president? We'll talk about that and more trouble at the southern border as the number of migrants being housed under a bridge in Del Rio, Texas, swells by 6,000 people since last weekend. One congressman is now saying the White House can only fix this mess. We'll see you with that more at the top of the hour. Nick, enjoy the rest of the show. We'll see you in a bit.
Joe, thank you so much. Well, in Colorado, a new law is being tied into Elijah McClain's death and is putting the local police department under a microscope. Here in Chicago, here's a look at what's going on in your nation now. New tonight, a lawyer, part of the investigation into Russian election interference, is accused of making false statements to the FBI. The indictment is against Michael Sussman of the Perkins Cole law firm. It accuses him of hiding that he worked with Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. This doesn't change the results of Robert Mueller's earlier investigation finding that Russia did interfere in the 2016 election. A civil rights investigation has found the police department involved in the death of Elijah McClain is racially biased. It was the first of its kind under a new sweeping police accountability law passed in Colorado. McClain, a black man, was put into a chokehold during an encounter with Aurora police officers 2 years ago. The state's attorney general's office has indicted 3 officers and 2 paramedics in connection to McClain's death. And after more than a year of stunted travel plans, many were ready when Southwest Airlines opened up its reservations through spring, but the company's website was not. Travelers trying to book tickets through April 2022 were greeted with an error message. The website back up and running. Southwest's website is often overwhelmed during busy booking times and sales. Well, most Americans do not believe their personal information is secure online and aren't satisfied with the federal government's efforts to protect it. That's according to a poll by the Associated Press. Nearly 3/4 of Americans say they support establishing national standards for how companies can collect, process, and share personal data. Fraud has spiked since the start of the pandemic. In California, Democrats are working to change the state's recall efforts. Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom survived this week's recall election that could have removed him from office. Possible reforms include a higher signature requirement and changing the process that could permit someone with a small percentage of the vote to replace the state's top elected official. Well, we're entering Hispanic Heritage Month. Barbie has announced the creation of 2 unique dolls, Celia Cruz and Julia Alvarez. Cruz was a Cuban-American singer and one of the most popular Latin artists of the 20th century. Alvarez is a successful Dominican-American writer and activist. A statement from Barbie says they hope to inspire generations of young Latinos. That's all for Rush Hour tonight. Next up, the Donaldson Report later tonight on Balance with Leland Bittert, News Nation Prime and Banfield. And check headlines anytime on newsnationnow.com. I'm Nick Smith in for Nicole Burley. Thanks so much for joining us.